Hello, New Testament students, and welcome to week 2 in our class. You've gotten through our very basics of what the New Testament is, and last week a little bit on exile and Hellenization. This week we continue a little bit more with the background context of the New Testament, not getting to any New Testament texts themselves yet this week. We will start next week with the Gospel of Mark, and we'll kind of continue with a little background context to the New Testament as well next week. It'll be a sort of transition week, moving from the background of the context of the New Testament into the New Testament itself. But this week we're particularly dealing with Judaism or Judaisms in the time of Jesus. And one of the central claims of this week in the lectures and in the readings is that Judaism is diverse in Jesus's context, and Jesus and the New Testament are sort of situated within the sphere of Judaism. That we shouldn't be thinking of Jesus, and we shouldn't be thinking of the New Testament documents, generally speaking, as something different from Judaism. It's not as if we have Judaism over here and early Christianity over here as two completely different things, but rather Christianity is sort of subsumed underneath Judaism. So as far as our objectives for the week goes, the things that you should, the sort of main things that you should be coming away with from this week, we have got, let's see here, oops, there it is. Determine what Judaism is like in the time of Jesus. So by the end of this week's, this week's classes and this week's lecture videos and readings, you should be able to say what Judaism is like in the time of Jesus, to be able to sort of describe it in a handful of sentences. And then also be able to sort of assess early Christianity or the Jesus movement's relationship to Judaism. So how does early Christianity / the Jesus movement relate to Judaism? You're going to see both of these phrases, early Christianity and the Jesus movement, thrown around. I use them somewhat interchangeably, but as far as the distinction between these two go, early Christianity is usually the term used when you start to see a sort of separating away from Judaism, when there's more of a break between Judaism and Christianity. And the Jesus movement is usually a term used when we're talking about Jesus, his followers, and early Christianity within the context of Judaism. Third, explain how Jews interacted with Greek culture. So this is really coming out of the readings from Warren Carter's book from this week. And then lastly here, introduce the basics of Jesus' ministry and how it is productive for the New Testament documents. So how does Jesus relate to the New Testament documents? How is Jesus' life, ministry, death, and resurrection sort of productive for the diverse kinds of text that we find in the New Testament? So as far as what you need to do for this week for grade items, there is nothing major at this point. It's still minor items that we're dealing with, namely the course notes. There's going to be 2 lecture videos for this week. They're both going to have some lecture pauses in there, and then also doing the course notes with respect to your reading notes. And remember, you can sort of upload your reading notes in the manner, you can upload the sort of way that you take notes reading already. If you have an established modus operandi for doing that, I want you to be able to continue taking notes the way that you prefer to. Alternatively, you can answer the prompt at the end of the course notes template. And that sort of count as your reading notes for the week. And the other thing to do is engage in the forum. Sometimes the forum will be a little bit more specific and pointed in its questions, and other times the forum is going to be a little bit more general in its question. This week we have a more generalized forum question where I'm asking you to sort of engage things that surprised you about the reading, things that inspired you, maybe something you disagreed with, and then a question that you were left with from the readings or the videos or any of the content for this week. And as you interact with your peers, I would encourage you first to look for questions that you might be able to answer, that you might have some insight on. And as always in the forums, I encourage you to sort of engage it in multiple different ways throughout the semester. So you can either, write up your forum post if you prefer to do that. But I also encourage you every so often to mix in sort of video engagement in your forums, both with respect to your initial post and with the way that you respond to peers. It's always sort of nice to be able to see each other's faces and interact, and even if it's not live, in a way where we can see each other and hear each other. So that's what we've got going on for the week. I look forward to seeing you in the forums.